right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to the Black Diamond Podcast. I'm your host, Will White, aka Black Diamond. All right. If it's your first time here, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Push me to 1K. We're trying to get to 1K subscribers on the road to 1K, on the road to get this going so I could give you guys more premium content, more controversial topics, more opinions and thoughts coming from me. So, with that being said, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me your disagreements, agreements. If you're watching this live, shout out to you. If you're watching this pre recorded, then leave a like, leave a comment. Anyway, tell me what your thoughts are. And yeah, we will get started. I'm a little late, guys, so bear with me. Just came back from a little gym session. So, bear with me while we keep this going. But you see the topic, we're talking about today. We're talking about the viral video that is going crazy right now on the internet with the teacher who got his hair done by little girls in his classroom. All right. If you don't know, we're going to play the video, react to it, and I'm going to give you my raw thoughts and opinions on it. So let's fucking go. All right, guys. Remember, stay tuned every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We go live at 7:30. All right. Special guest. If you guys want a chance to be on the show, contact me at the blackdiamondpod at gmail.com. If you are interested in a topic you want me to discuss, send me a message. Reach out to me. I'm reading all comments right now, guys. So get in while you can with me. Get my thoughts, get my opinions, because I'm staying consistent with this, guys. I'm pushing out more content and staying consistent. Whoever messes with it, messes with it. So we're only going to keep growing from here. We're only going up from here. We're not slowing down. Getting more people to help me along with this, and we're going to keep growing, guys. Trust me, we're going to keep going. Waiting for that one moment where I really take off, and that's going to be it. So stay tuned for that, guys. Cash me while you can, get in while you can. More content is coming on the way. More opinions, more topics, more special ideas. We're going to be taking this podcast to the future. Bringing out all the innovative things you could ever think about. But I need your help and support. So please like, comment, and subscribe. You guys will get everything you ever dreamed of. Okay. All right. So yeah, I hope you guys are really enjoying what I'm putting out right now. And I'm gonna try to share this video with you. We're gonna discuss it. And then I'm gonna give you my raw thoughts on it. All right. This is my Twitter page, guys. If you want daily controversial opinions, hey, give me a follow. Right now, everything's looking weak. Give me a follow, guys. Support my Twitter page if you want more controversial opinions and thoughts. And yeah, let's get into it.
My students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, and people were just making it weird. So, of course, I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school, and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew coming in to shoot a promotional video, and I was one of the ones being interviewed. So I had to look presentable, so I didn't take my hair out. I didn't have the time to do it all myself because it would have taken me forever. So naturally, I asked about 4 or 5 of my over 100 best friends to assist me in taking my hair out, and they all agreed. Number two, this was at the end of class. This week we were doing STEM fair presentations. Since it was Friday and all of my students did an excellent job on their STEM fair projects and presentations, I told them if we get one solid presentation in this class, I'll end class a little early and they can have fun and play basketball, darts, or be on their phones or whatever. And during that time, my team would help me take my hair out. A couple of these were students from my class, but others were students from other classes. I wrote all of them a pass at the beginning of the class period, requesting their assistance 10 minutes before dismissal. I told the teachers only send them if all of their work was completed and they had good behavior. They all met the criteria, so 10 minutes before dismissal, they showed up for their job. My next point I like to make is if I was a female teacher, those people wouldn't be in the comments saying, oh, this is weird, this is inappropriate. Because me personally, I don't think there's anything weird about this. People are saying, oh, that's too intimate. To me, it's literally just hair. It doesn't have to be weird. Some people have never had cool teachers, and it shows. I personally believe that building authentic relationships with students is paramount in being an effective teacher. I make sure my students know and can feel that I care about them beyond the schoolwork and all the stuff that I have to make them do. I take the time to get to know my students outside of academics because caring for the whole child is what's important.
All right. So you guys seen that there. Couple things I want to point out about this video and just about this whole narrative about being the cool teacher and how we're constantly trying to blur the lines with children between what's right and what's wrong. Okay. Now, main point I want to bring up is that as a Black professional and as a professional, there's certain things that are allowed within this corporate environment and especially within the education environment. All right. Me personally, I don't think that we should blur the lines to this degree where we have educators being best friends with students. Why? Because once you do that, students and children, especially, will take advantage of that situation and advantage of that niceness and then use it against you, maybe subconsciously or maybe knowingly. You never really know. You never really want to take that chance. Okay. So once you blur the lines between being a best friend and being an educator, children don't really know if they should respect you or treat you as equal, right? And as an educator, when you're teaching someone and you're trying to get a point across and your opinion across, because ultimately at the end of the day, your opinion is correct, and the child's opinion, I won't say doesn't really matter, but it doesn't really matter because they're a child and they're there to learn from you, the adult and the educator. But if you blur the lines as we're equals, we're best friends, I'm the cool teacher, then that child no longer sees you as someone he can learn from because he's seeing you as an equal, right? So therefore, the level of respect he would have given the person who he sees as an equal is no longer as a superior is no longer there because he views you as an equal, and that's not right. Okay, so that's my first thing. I don't like that aspect. The second aspect I don't like about this is that you're a man and you're an educator and you're a Black man that's an educator. Me working in the education field for many years, not as a teacher, but in the IT field, just supporting teachers and supporting students. I know how rare that is, right? With that being said, why Black men do we take on this unnecessary risk to just put ourselves out there and become the cool teacher? And I get it. Maybe you want it to be controversial. Maybe it sounded like you knew it was controversial and you knew this was going to get a lot of views. So this is why you decided to live stream it or record it and then make a clip of it and post it on TikTok, right? You knew it was going to gain traction and maybe this was the way you were going to jumpstart your career as an influencer. I don't know. And if you're watching this right now, the teacher who made the video, you want to talk to me? You want to come on and debate why you think your opinion is right? I'm here to listen. But as a Black man and as a Black professional, there's just certain lines that we shouldn't cross, right? And I know we keep trying to press the corporate world to accept us for who we are and just, press the boundaries, right? And just go that extra mile. But there's certain boundaries you don't cross as a man and as a Black professional because you know it's just putting your neck on the line. And in this case, allegedly, I think he got fired or sent on leave, which I think is totally acceptable. In this case, he went a little bit too far and he crossed the line, and it was just totally unnecessary for him to allow little girls, little children to come in there and play with their hair. All right. You don't draw that line as a man because one, you don't know. Yes, you recorded it, but you don't know how comfortable these girls who are going through whatever phase in their life right now are are getting with you, right? That's always going to be a touchy subject, especially with their parents, their fathers, and then their emotions as well. They're growing into something that they're trying to figure out themselves, and you're crossing a very intimate line when you allow them to touch you, touch your head, touch your scalp, and just be comfortable around you in that setting. Not just from an educator standpoint, but just from a professional standpoint. It's very inappropriate. It's very unprofessional, and I don't think anyone within that industry should consider something like this. I don't care if you have a hair appointment within the next hour and you got to get this done, bro. This is unprofessional. You don't ask little girls in different classrooms to come and help you. You don't do that shit, man. But yeah, guys, there was multiple comments supporting this type of behavior, and I just want to read some of them for you because I want to go in depth on the subject and just really point out why as black professionals and black men do we go so far to just try to be so different. We're just trying so hard to be fucking different. Oh, and look what they did to my post on Twitter. They hid my post because it was too real. It was too raw. I called out how this is inappropriate and we shouldn't blur the lines between being an educator and friend. You're there to teach. Do that. Don't fraternize with any other student. If I had a daughter and I sent her to school to learn, I didn't send her to school to play with their hair. Like, what are we talking about here? This shouldn't even be a topic of conversation. It shouldn't even be a question. You shouldn't be allowed to do this, and you shouldn't be allowed to film it at that. So that was my whole thing. We're gonna read these comments, so guys. All right. I don't want to post. All right. Oh, look, this is part two.
Substitute 4 years ago. They see me as a big brother or a father figure, as some of them say. And me, I don't want kids like me, so all of these kids are literally my children. And in case you're wondering about their parents, most of them follow me on social media and always talk about my videos with their kids. They always tell me that they're so grateful that their kids have someone like me in their life. In my admin, they're well aware of my social media presence and they love my videos. To me, this is just another wholesome moment that I'm having with my kids that I was fortunate enough to catch one from. Since I'm a science teacher, one thing that I teach my students about is symbiosis. Symbiosis deals with the relationships between organisms. The type of relationship I like to foster in my class is mutualism or mutualistic relationship, which means both organisms benefit from the exchange. So when my students have good behavior, complete all their assignments, and do everything that a scholar is supposed to do, I reward them with downtime and just time to just be a kid, be on their phones, play games, gossip, so on and so forth. My students and I work hard and we play harder. I'm fortunate enough to have students that feel safe and comfortable around me, safe to come to me with their problems, their frustrations. They come to me seeking guidance and wisdom, or come to me simply to chill and hang out because they know that they have a safe space to be themselves around me. What I strive to do as an educator is be the teacher I wish I had grown up. I strive to be the teacher that makes my inner child happy, someone that my inner child would be proud of. I want to be the teacher that my students reflect back on 20, 30 years down the line and think like, dang, that teacher I had in middle school, he was the shit. No further questions, Your Honor. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. You think this was inappropriate or people?
Bro, like what are we talking about here? You want to be known to be the cool teacher? This is really what we're striving to be, and this is what I'm saying. As black men, as black professionals, we have to set the bar high for ourselves. You have to set the bar very high, and you can't be so lax and just want to be the cool teacher. What about all the teachers who are me personally, I remember the teachers who were hard on me. I remember the teachers who pushed me when I didn't want to be pushed. I remember the teachers who I would want to say punished me by giving me more work, right? When I was lax and I was slacking off. I remember the teachers who kept pushing me and giving me more work because they wanted me to do better. And I understand you want to create a safe space for your students, especially the black students within the schools, because they're going through a lot of emotional they're dealing with a lot of emotional changes, hormonal changes, all that. I understand. But we have to draw a line and we have to draw boundaries on what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. This is inappropriate. It's not always cool to just be the cool teacher. All right. It's not okay to always want to be the cool teacher. Sometimes you have to be the teacher that knows boundaries and draws lines. So this will be some of these comments. Oh, and these are probably one of the mods that hid my post. But look, I think a bond between an educator and their students can be a wonderful thing. However, I believe boundaries are necessary, and there are plenty of team building exercises or games that can establish this. It doesn't require touching beyond a high five or have church hug. Bro, if I had a daughter in the school system, don't give my daughter a hug. High five the most. No hug. No nothing. No. All right. This was a comment by a PhD. I'm a PhD. As a former teacher, it's not that serious. This teacher clearly has he said built a strong and trusting build strong and trusting relationships with the students. Everything isn't a red flag for something more sinister. Cool. It doesn't have to be a red flag, but it's still inappropriate. All right. He shouldn't be building bonds on that level because it blurs the lines between what's respectable and are we equal? All right. Right now, those kids see him as equal. I can guarantee they don't see him as someone they truly respect as a superior. If he were to say some dumb shit, they would call him out on it. If he were to say something those kids didn't like, he would call them out. They would call them out on it. All right, let's see. This video, the teacher, the students, anyone's sex, the comments aren't the problem. The problem is this is a society we created that makes this a problem. As a 6'2", 230-pound black man that absolutely loves children, this society and its way of thinking is why I wouldn't do this. It's bullshit that children have to suffer because of someone's preconceived ideas of what's appropriate. Then using the same whack ass breath, we do all we can to excuse away some celebrities' bad behavior. Our priorities are all fucked up, and I hope somehow we fix them. All right, you had me in the first half, and then you lost me in the second half, brother. So this absolutely okay. Right, we created this as a non-norm in our society because if you allow these lines to get blurred, especially between men and little girls working who want to learn something, you are then creating a bond that can lead to something very dangerous. All right. Something that we don't want to really talk about, but if you guys know, you know, you want to keep it strictly professional in these type of settings. So that's why we create these kind of social norms within our society today is to really curb what men could do, especially when they're around children. It's fucked up, but it is the way it is. All right, let's go back and read another comment. All right, here's one that agrees with me. He's not chilling with his little siblings slash cousins. He's at work. It's bad enough he's doing this on work time, but young girls can be impressionable, and this is somewhat intimate and way too personal. If a student started doing other students here in class, would that be okay? You see? And even if this was a female teacher doing this, it still wouldn't be accepted to the same degree. It's just unprofessional all around. Super unprofessional. So, guys, that was my thoughts on the whole situation, the topic that we're getting into. If you have any agreements, disagreements, let me know. Shout out to Guru Gaming. He said he's calling the principal. Yo, I would too, man. Apparently, the teacher got approval from the parents and the principal and the admin to do this and record it. But still, bro, I mean, you can see how quickly this backfire on you. And luckily, he was let go. Allegedly, he was let go or sent on leave. But imagine if this popped up, 2, 3 years from now, and then the girls who was doing his hair came up and said something to him, like, oh, I was doing his hair this one time, and then Mister So and So did this, bro. It's just unnecessary. Don't get involved like that, bro. Just don't do it. It's super unnecessary, super unprofessional, and especially as men, black men within the education field, I wouldn't even go near something like this. Me working in that sector for years, when you're working around a bunch of impressionable and emotional girls, bro, you want to keep it as professional as possible because anything can happen. They could take something the wrong way. You know, they could take something the way you meant it and take it another way that they didn't, that they wanted to take it. Bro, you just never know. And you want to keep everything professional. Like I said, you want to set the bar super high as a black man in those spaces. Never want to be lax. And honestly, if I had a daughter, my daughter's there to learn. You're there to teach. Let's keep it that way. Forget all that blurring the lines. You want to be the cool teacher. Nah, be strict. Be strict. Give them more work. And bro, honestly, I have long hair, right? Never, never, ever would I allow one of the children that I've worked with come in and try to play with my hair and do my hair because I was running late for an appointment or I had something to do the next day. Bro, that's crazy. So it's just like, bro, if you can't afford to do your hair the way you want to do it and on time, don't grow out your hair. I tell old black men this, like, if you want to work in the corporate field, you want to get a professional job in 9 to 5, you want to make a lot of money, don't grow your hair out right away. Wait until you develop a skill set where people can look past your hair and you're able to afford actually taking care of your hair. If you can't do it for yourself, don't ask someone else to do it for you. Because then you not only inconvenience yourself, but you inconvenience other people around you. And then you put yourself in stupid situations where you can get fucked up. But guys, we got guests in the building. We're gonna bring them on stage. We're gonna talk about this, dive into a little bit more. We're running a little late, but I wanted to get my thoughts on about this. And I do have another video I want to play for you guys. So we're gonna get into that as well. But hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, hi, hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well myself. Thank you for asking. I'm Will White. Welcome to the Black Diamond Podcast.
Thank you.
Uh,
My name is Natasha.
okay. Were you able to listen a little bit to what the topic is?
I did, and I saw that
Okay.
online, so I wasn't surprised by you talking about it. But yeah, it's I mean, the teachers are getting younger and younger, so it's kind of like, what do you expect?
They are. They are. Did you see the video by any chance, or
I saw the video while you were playing it.
oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like we got another guest. Let's bring him on. I want to get everybody's thoughts on this. Make this a little panel. Hello, hello.
Hello,
How are you? Welcome to the podcast. My name is Will White.
I'm good. Hi, and thank you for having me today. I'm Passion.
Thanks for being here. All right. We are gonna start with we're gonna start with introductions. So let's start to the right of me. Let me get your name, age, education, and what you do for work.
I guess that would be me. So my name is Natasha. I am 38. Uh, Education. I have a master's in social work, and I am a therapist and dating coach.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Passion. I am a loctician. I have my bachelor's in marketing. I am 27, and I also have a hair care line that provides healthy hair care solutions for natural hair care.
And what's your education level?
I'm sorry?
Education level.
Oh, bachelor's in marketing.
Bachelor's in marketing. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Last question. I hear there's a little echo on Passion's side. You have headphones in?
Yes. Do I need to take them out?
Yeah, if you can, let's test that out. See if it makes it. All right. Natasha, what is your relationship status?
I'm currently in a new relationship. So that'll be, to me, like less than 3 months. So still kind of in the beginning stages of feeling things out.
Okay, cool. How long were you guys dating before that happened?
We were dating about 2 months. Good time, about 6 7 weeks.
That's pretty quick.
I don't think so. I feel like I'm 38. I mean, I don't. It's just not gonna take me 6 months. I gotta know what I'm looking for. So if I see it,
Okay. Let's see if Passion's mic is a little bit better. Passion, what's your relationship status?
Yes, so I am currently in a relationship. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, I think it's when other people talk, but I think it's good now.
Okay, cool. Yes, so I am actually in a relationship.
Okay, for how long?
It's been 6 years. We started when I was 18.
Okay, 6 years.
Hmm.
Are you married or are you someone like just a girlfriend?
No, I'm girlfriend.
Just a girlfriend? Okay.
Mhm.
Marriage something you want?
It is.
Okay. So why do you think it's quick? You don't have to go into it, but why do you think it's taking us so long?
So it's a journey. I feel like because we started in the beginning times of when I was young, well, we both were young in our teenage years, we're not in the process of wanting to rush things, but being committed that it's for the long haul. And right now, I know time frames are major to people when to get married, but when we look at it, the 6 month, 3 month thing, getting married and then you're divorced after 6, 7 years, how much time did you really get into investing in your person to know them that your match really fit? I don't think you can allocate that in a certain time frame of 3 to 6 months, a year, you know? So this is kind of one of those ones that's our approach.
Well, how old are you? My bad. What's your age?
I'm 27.
27. So you don't think there's a time? So you don't think there's a time clock at all?
No, I do. I just feel like with where we started in our journey, that in that time clock, that was an early start. So in that early start of where we were beginning, there's a lot to get to know. And being a young newlywed, I don't think that that's effective when we get to looking at young newlyweds that actually successfully make it. That at 27, I planned on always having the marriage around my 30s because I know a lot about myself. There's a lot of foundation and establishment that I'm for sure in, that I wouldn't be making a mistake with not discovering what I need to discover in my 20s. So I look at it from that lens.
So how long are you willing to wait?
So I'll cap it at about my 30s. Well, my
So at
30s. No,
30,
not
that's when
30s.
you're like giving
30s.
him the ultimatum.
Not an ultimatum. If it's just not happening, it's not happening. If it doesn't seem to fit at that time frame of life, then we know that. I don't think giving a person an ultimatum if it hasn't been done already is effective.
So essentially, but are you willing to stay after you hit 30? Is what I'm saying.
No.
So that is effectively an ultimatum.
Okay. I mean, you could say that. I just think hey, all right, I'm 30. Either we're doing it or we're not, or I'm gone. I just feel like that's kind of forcing someone that if they say yes, how authentic is it?
I mean, all right, you got to look at it from a biological standpoint. I don't know if you have kids or not. Do you have
Mm-mm.
kids?
No.
You don't have kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from a biological standpoint, we know that geriatric pregnancy starts at around 35.
Mm-hmm.
So it would actually make sense for you to want to be in a marriage, or at least you're already in a serious relationship. So I would say a marriage by your 30s, so you can actually start planning to start your family. That to me
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So like the whole waiting to 30 makes sense, and giving him that ultimatum makes sense.
Yeah. I
Tasha,
can see
what's your
what
thoughts on that?
I get what she's saying with they started young at 18, so there's no need to rush for that. But I mean, at this point, at 27, you guys are almost 30. It certainly doesn't take that long. And if this is truly the right person for you, you can still like meet all your passions and be able to do the things that you want to do with them being supportive. If they are that right person, that's not going to stop you from being able to develop and become this person that you're wanting to be by 30.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's not really a reason. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying, for you, that's how you feel, but I feel like it shouldn't stop anything if this is your person. Like that shouldn't put a lid on you being able to be this wonderful person that you want to be by 30, because 30 again it's just a arbitrary number that doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you
Right.
guys' comments.
It's an arbitrary number. That's
I mean,
interesting.
that's just like a random number. Like at 30, like that's the number to get married at. Like it's just a random.
Yeah, it's not the actual number. I think it's more so of when we look at people who are married in their 20s, how well did they know themselves? That the union that they're in, they can say that they've established who they want to be. And then, really, when we get into the second layer of marriages, who's successfully married, that they are confident that with their partner, they've got to actually fulfill things that they wanted to do, that it's not something you feel stuck in. So,
Are
like a
you
lot of the
living like
time,
you're married?
huh?
Are y'all living together like you're married?
No.
You guys do not live together?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
think you that for now after all that time playing wife and not really being a wife.
yeah. And we know wives that are being wives, but how much do they enjoy that? So I don't know. I think when we look at our situation, we have to be logical about it. That I understand the whole. All right, this is what marriage means and all of that, but the fluffs of it really means nothing because it's wives who husbands don't do anything for them or support them in any way. But you signed up to do something because in a time frame it sounds right to do. Or you thought that this person was something that in time you found out that it was something completely different. Or we can go further with, okay, you got married because you had a kid or a kid was on the way. So there's a lot of exterior motives that go into marriage that when we test it under the faith of what God aligns it for, is that what people are following?
But
You
this
might
is a
hear my
person
dog in the
that
background a little bit.
okay, but you
All
want
right.
to marry him, this
Mm.
person.
I mean, yes, if it's in the design to happen, yes.
All right. So let me say one thing. Cut you guys off. All right. Here's my thoughts on it, and take it with a grain of salt if you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had a daughter
Mm-hmm.
who was your age, right,
Mm-hmm.
and past 25, and she told me that she was in a relationship for 6 years, and you guys don't even live together, I would say that's a major red flag, and he's wasting your time, right? Essentially, all the cards are in his hands. Whether or not he actually makes a move to continue the relationship or not, or make the move to even live with you and really test out how it would look like living together post marriage. Um, Everything is in his control at this point, and you gave him all of those options. So now you kind of just have to deal with the repercussions of whatever happens in the future, right? Because essentially, if you've been together for 6 years, if he decides to just up and leave or do something that bothers you to a very high degree where you don't feel like you could be in the relationship, you now have wasted 6 years that you can't get back, plus 6 years of prime time in your life, your early 20s, where you were at your peak value, right? Where you're going to be your most beautiful, your most fertile to have children and really start a family. And the man, essentially, he walks away not really losing anything, right? So you come this far, you waited 6 years, you kind of have to be okay with that fact. And if you want to make a change, you don't have to, but you're giving it another 3 years. So let's say it essentially gets down to 9 years you guys were together, and he ups and leaves or just never marries you and you have to end the relationship. He walks away with no harm done, but you walk away now with a time in your life where you have to heal from that long-term relationship. And then you have to put yourself back out there on the dating market. And if you haven't been out there on the dating market for the last 6 years, I can tell you it's very different than how it was previously. But you know, that's just the way it's going to be. And if you're comfortable with that decision, then it is what it is. But I see a lot of women who are in their early 20s kind of doing the same thing, where they meet a guy who's also in his early 20s, and then they waste a whole bunch of time together, and then they reach this point in life when they're in their 30s now. It's like, well, my biological clock is ticking. We got to really make some moves. And the guy's just like, nah, you got to make those moves. I can actually just leave because I don't have a biological clock.
I mean, I
So
appreciate you guys' opinions.
I would say it really just comes down to what is your goal for dating. Like if your goal for dating is not to get married, then you can date for as long as you want to date. If you have no intention of getting married, then you just are trying to test out the waters. But if you do want to get married, that's something that you want, then yeah, you got to have like a time frame in your head that you're willing to wait, and also be willing to walk away at that time if
most women want to get married, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I do.
Women who are
I just
dating out there
I'm
want to
more
be married at
towards
some
the
point.
quality of it. So I'm just not looking to just be married to anything and anybody. So that is the thing that I feel is the problem with today's time. That a lot of people want to be married. And then may I ask, are you married, sir? No, you're not. And then are you, sir? Are you married?
Not married, no.
No? Okay. So I think it's more of a quality thing. That as you guys said, the market is very different. And in it being different, I'm sure that's not a different that there's options floating around, or that there is options that are just, all right, you like yellow, I like blue. Let's try to make it work. I think it comes with a lot of detailed annotating a person that you have to do to be sure on that journey to fully commit, combine, and tie your life together with a person. And that comes through experiences, that comes through knowing who you are. And then also with doing that, is this compatible that this can actually be something that's effective to work? So I do take everything that you guys are saying into consideration. And I think that these type of podcasts can be beneficial because we all have our different experiences, and in range of ages, you can find these things out to kind of sever your way through what fits for you. And I think that for time, we have been doing things a certain type of way to a certain condition of rules. And right now it's being tested the hardest. There's plenty of women who are in their later years that are seeing that they married the wrong person. And in that marrying the wrong person, they lost a part of themselves that they did not know. That if they didn't sacrifice getting married early to meet this time clock, this time frame, how well off in security of their self would they be to be able to be happily married, have those children, and actually understand that yes, this was a sacrifice for my family, but not at a sacrifice to myself, that I did that for my family. Because as you stated, men have a certain angle that regardless of the way that the tables turn, a man is able to produce forever. As long as he keeps himself in good health, good shape, he can produce forever. However, women, when we have children, when we commit ourselves to a man's mission, our value and all of that focus goes on to him. And in the event that that does not pan out right with the man that you choose, you now have to recollect who you are as well as forget who he was. And if a child is to witness that, that just can't be a good thing to show an example of a child. So I saw my mom and my dad married, and I saw my mom lead my dad to his last days with being by his side. So I have a depiction on what the value of a marriage and a union is, that I'm on the support of that than just the quality, the assurance of just being someone's wife.
All right, we get that. One thing I want to say before we move on from this subject is you asked if me and Natasha were married, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's two people. If you're intentional about being married,
Mm-hmm.
who you should take advice from.
Mm-hmm.
One being other married women. Other married
Mm-hmm.
women who have been in relationships, marriages for at least I would say 10 years plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second, it would be from men who have no sexual interest in you. For example, your father, your uncles, your brothers, right? They're going to give you an opinion on men that you're not going to get from your male friends, that you're not going to get from your exes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So me, I have no sexual interest in you, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
purely for content standpoint, right? So these are the type of guys you want to get opinions from because they're going to give you raw truth without putting any feelings into it. It's just going to be purely logic based,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you ask if a guy is married, it doesn't really matter much because at the end of the day, men are the deciding factors of marriage. We're the ones who get down on one knee, right? We essentially choose who gets married. And
Mm-hmm.
statistically, only 1 out of every 4 Black women actually get married. So, we want to bring that number up. We want to get more Black love, more Black couples. But
Mm-hmm.
let's move on to the next topic. All right. Passion, did you hear about the teacher in the classroom? Did you watch this earlier part?
Yes, with the braids, he had the kids
Yeah.
taking his hair down.
Yep.
Yes, I have. I heard about that.
Yes. What's your real quick? What is your thoughts on that entire situation? Appropriate, inappropriate?
Um, I feel that in today's time it's inappropriate. And I'll say inappropriate because from being a teacher at one point of my life, the focus does not need to be on doing a teacher's hair. And in a way that our children are so hypersexualized, I can see how some parents may take offense to that. But I would say that if these are things that the kids are interested in, that teacher could have just advocated for a program that allows them to express themselves that way, just not in his head. Just not in his head. Because certain kids process things differently, and he puts himself at risk for a situation that looks very sketchy. So that's kind of my spiel on that.
My points exactly. I personally believe as Black men, as Black professionals, and Black educators,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that we want to create a safe space and be that cool teacher, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. But there has to be a high expectation, especially for Black men in these fields, because we know how rare being a Black male teacher is, right?
Yeah.
So we have to set the bar extremely high for ourselves, and we have to set those boundaries, those clear lines where students and teachers do not cross, right? But a lot of times we're seeing that teachers are trying very hard to be cool and create these safe spaces, and they're blurring the lines between an educator and a best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, me personally, I think we got to go back to not being the cool teacher and understanding that you're there to teach, you're the superior. These kids should not see you on the same equal line. They shouldn't see you as equals. They need to know that you're superior, so there's that level of respect.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, perfect. Said perfectly. And I think that that's why the classroom or just the school space period is in such chaos because there's no separation. There was a time that in school, walking around the classroom was an issue. They up in your head. So clearly walking around the classroom is perfectly fine. So I don't know. I think that things could definitely stand to change or just be some type of reset because the school setting is a mess.
Yeah, it is. But question for you ladies. Going to a dream world, right? Let's take you back to the time when you guys were single. You guys were dating. Okay. Do you guys remember that? Go
Hmm.
back to that moment. What would be your thoughts if you were dating a man like this and he came to you and told you that story? Natasha, go first.
That he came back and showed me the video with the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly have some questions. I mean, I think a lot of things that teachers do are for social media. Like that's a new thing, like posting your kids on social media as a teacher to get likes. So I mean, I certainly have some questions about what they actually did productive during the day. That your kids, one that y'all are playing around in hair, that you feel comfortable enough to be in class recording that. I'd be a little have some questions about, like you said, the boundaries between you and your students. Because if you're letting them in your hair, I'm just like, what else are they allowed to do in the classroom?
Would you be attracted to a guy like that?
I would be attracted to the fact that he is a black man in education and is wanting to show like presence in that space. But I probably, as a therapist, would be like, you need to get some boundaries with those kids because they are probably not respecting you like they should as their teacher.
All right. All right. What about you, Passion?
Sorry. I would just really have the conversation about how important this is to your career. Like she said, that what is the foundation of your classroom? That this is what's going on because you look focused on your computer with what you're doing. Maybe creating a lesson plan. However, this isn't the lesson plan. But then a safety concept that this puts you at risk. So is it really worth it? That would be my angle to just bring some type of insight that okay, you might think that this is for the betterment of them, but it is honestly not good at all.
Okay. Okay. All right. What do you think are some, I want to say, career, when you look at a guy's career, right? What are some red flags that you kind of jump out to you?
When it comes to careers that are red flags, I would say the main thing is jumping from job to job, not having job stability. Like it's really not so much about the career because I mean everybody's not going to get somebody that has six figures. You want somebody that just knows the value of a job and the importance of working. But if you're not staying at a job for more than 6 months, that tells me a lot more about your career. It tells me about your personality too, like that you can't stick things out when it gets hard, that you're quitting easily. And so for me, that's kind of a red flag in regards to like, how are you going to handle this relationship? Like when things get hard, are you going to exit stage left because things are hard and you just give up when things aren't going well, or you don't push through hard times, or you just kind of bounce around to find out what's easiest or what's the most convenient for you. I feel like that would be more so of the red flag necessarily than like the actual career.
Right. If he just like gives up easily,
Right.
bounces around. That makes
Right.
sense.
Somebody
Makes sense.
talks to you the wrong way crazy and you're like, I quit. It's like you can't do that if you have a family. You can't just be up and quitting jobs because somebody looked at you sideways and you got upset.
That definitely makes sense. Is that the only one you have, or is there another one that you think about?
That would be the main red flag. I can let passion go, but that would be the main thing. Like I said, it's really not so much about the career. It's just really like how you value the importance of why you need a career and making money. Because really, careers these days are very unconventional. There's so many types of careers. So it's really not like necessarily about like the actual job. It's just really you kind of understanding like the value of having, unfortunately things cost money. If we don't live in a time where things don't cost money, that would be nice. But I mean that's a real thing. Like you have to have money to afford things. And so you need to be
Okay.
able.
Now, let me ask you this. Does that same logic apply to women?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I don't understand honestly a lot of these women that feel like they should be just taken care of just because they're a woman. Like I'm very pro. If you are able bodied, I don't see why you should not be working. Like
Indeed, indeed.
that's so bizarre to me. Like the women that are asking these things of other people that they can't provide for themselves. Like I'm very like you should not be asking somebody else for something that you wouldn't otherwise be able to provide for yourself. Like that's crazy.
So, for instance, I'm gonna push back on this a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you were in a situation where your man got you pregnant, would you not want him to be able to provide for majority of the bills so you can have a more relaxed and easy pregnancy?
I mean, I feel like there's not like a black and white answer for that because honestly, like I'm not good with just
I mean,
sitting
this is
around.
yes or no.
I'm not good with just sitting around the house. I would never just want to sit around the house. I would go crazy and bang my head. Like I need to be productive.
Even while you're pregnant, you would want to work. You would want to
Every
work the
person doesn't mean that you are
entirety of your pregnancy.
handicapped. You can still do things.
But
You
would you want to? You would want to work through the entirety of your pregnancy.
I would not be opposed to it. It depends if it's not a hard pregnancy. What else would I be doing?
But let's say, I mean, how old are you again?
38.
38.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you reach that point biologically of geriatric pregnancy,
Uh-huh.
right? I've seen firsthand experience with older women getting pregnant, and it is much tougher,
Mhm.
harder, and there's a higher chance of complications happening.
Right.
If your man could provide for you, like let's say he was very well off and he could provide for you throughout your pregnancy, wouldn't that be better than you having no option but to work throughout the entirety of your pregnancy?
I think if that was proposed to me as that's an option, then yeah, if I wanted to take the option. But I mean, one, I work from home, so it's not like I'm not doing manual labor. That's why I said I feel like it just depends on the situation. One, if it's not a hard pregnancy, I'm just like, what else would I be doing at home besides sitting around? Like
You just
it sounds nice
you
on
just be living
paper,
the soft girl life.
but it's like logically, what would I be doing?
You would just be living the soft girl life, just enjoying being pregnant.
I mean, that sounds like it would be fun for like a few weeks, but I feel like I would get really bored.
Wow. But
I
if you had the
don't
option,
like
but if you had the option, say your man was very well off,
Mhm. I mean,
you would
maybe like the last trimester or something like where things would normally, get harder to do. I don't know if I'd say the whole pregnancy, but maybe like okay, maybe like the last one while you're trying to get prepared, get things ready around the house. I'm sure that would certainly be helpful. I don't know
all
if
right.
I
So
need
what
my.
about post pregnancy now? What about post pregnancy? Let's say you have a baby. Would you
Mhm.
not want to stay home with the baby for at least like a couple years to help it develop and just be a mother?
I would certainly want to be at home a lot more. I don't know if I would say like 365. But that's just me. Like I'm not a I could not just sit at home all day. Like I couldn't. And even as a therapist, talking to lots of postpartum women, like could not. Like, I would probably lose my mind. So I'm not opposed to daycare. I don't know about daycare. Your kid being in daycare for like 8-9 hours a day, like that's a lot. Maybe like half part-time work. But I I like I like my job. Like, I would want to work.
So you would rather
I
work
want to work.
post pregnancy babysitter.
Not like
You'd
a
rather
month
work,
after. Not a
send
month
your kid to
after.
daycare than stay
But
at home and be a
I
mom.
also work from home again. So it's not like the conventional situation. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I could theoretically
But let's say
be
you
at
didn't
home.
have the option
Live
because
at
that's very new.
home. Right.
This whole work from home thing is very new. But let's say you
Right.
didn't have the option. Let's say you had to go in.
If I had to go in, then theoretically, yeah, I would definitely not want my child to be with a stranger all day. I would want to. I would want
Okay, but since
to
you
be
have the
with
option to
that
work from home,
right. If I had to go to work every day,
that's still very tough with a newborn.
well, I'm not saying like obviously, like I said, I wouldn't say with like at 2 months. I would want to take your jobs give you what, like 6 weeks off, which is like not enough time
That's
off.
nothing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
that's
not.
nothing.
I think like other countries give you like some countries give you like a year to be off. But yeah, we're the only ones that are like 6 weeks. You got to come back to work. Like, your body's still healing. Not enough time for you to even get back to work. So yeah, no, definitely not 6 weeks. Maybe like 6 months.
All right, let me ask you this. The guy you're seeing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that option with him now? If you wanted to stay home and just be in your soft girl era, do you have that option to do that?
If that's what I said I wanted, yeah, they would make that happen.
Okay. Do you think that is the average guy or
That's probably not the average person. No. That's probably
no?
not the average situation where you can just be like, you know what, I'm just not going to go to work for like a year.
Okay. And I'm guessing what's his race? Is he black?
He's black.
He's black. Okay.
Mhm.
So black. I'm pretty sure he makes well over 6 figures or something like that, and he's black.
Yeah, we both. I mean, we both do. So it's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like we would be able to figure it out.
Yeah, but your money won't matter when you're at home taking care of the kids. That's what I'm trying to say. Your money won't matter.
I know.
His money is gonna
It will.
matter. All right.
It will. But yeah, but like I said, like I was still like, I don't know. I feel like I know me sitting at home, not gonna happen. I'll go crazy. I will find something to do.
All right. Are you would you consider yourself a feminist?
I probably have feminist theories about things. I don't know if I would say like I'm a diehard
Uh,
feminist, but there are probably some topics I'm gonna, yes.
so you believe that you and your partner are equal in the relationship?
I feel like there are certain situations where I should be equal at all times. Probably not, but majority of the time, I would like to be considered. Feel like I am equal. Yes.
And what
I see you smile.
that is funny.
I see
Wow.
your brain moving.
That's
But
funny. In some
I was raised
situations you
that
would
way.
like to be
I was
considered
raised
equal.
by a dad that I could do whatever I wanted to do, and I wholeheartedly believe that.
You want to be able to do say that one more time. You want to be able
I
to do
was
whatever
raised by
you
a
want to
father
do?
I was raised by a father that's like, you are a black woman, you can do and be whatever you want to be. There's no limitations on that.
I hate that. I hate that notion, and a lot. I made this comment before that a lot of black fathers, unfortunately, have raised their daughters to be so tough and so independent,
I'm not tough.
but you're very independent,
Well, because I have to, somebody has to pay my bills. So I mean, it's not like I don't have a choice.
right? But there's definitely other group of women who understand the value of a man, and they understand that they could use their femininity to lock down a man early in their life and be taken care
Mhm.
of.
Yeah,
There's
but
definitely women out there who do that. But
yeah,
what I'm saying is that a lot of black fathers and a lot of black men just raise their daughters to be so strong and independent, and it's
why would
just
you want
doing
to
so
raise
much
your daughters
damage.
to depend on a man or have to depend on
I
somebody
raise your
else?
daughters to be dependent on a man.
Yeah, why would you want to raise your daughter to not be dependent on themselves?
Why raise? bec- because you need a man.
You do, but you don't want them to think that they have to have a man or else their life is going to be in shambles. Like if I don't have a man, I can't support myself. It should be an option, not a necessity.
No, it should be 100% be a necessity, and that's the problem that we're seeing in a lot of black families and a lot of black homes, that the black man is not a necessity. That's what we need to get back to. The black
No,
man is 100% a necessity
I
within
would
the
never
home and within
teach
your
my daughter
relationship.
to use her
I don't
femininity
say
to.
what?
I would never teach my daughter to use her femininity to lock down a man. That seems manipulative.
You would tell her to use her masculinity? I don't
No,
get it.
I would tell her that she needs to be able to support herself. And if a man comes in and adds value to her life, great. But you do not have to, should not be looking for a man to support you.
But you're looking at value from a man's standpoint. So you're looking at value as financial success and
No,
some form of educational success, like getting your degree, so you
mm-mm.
have something to fall back on financially, right?
I'm not looking at it only as financial, just in general. Like in your life
Like
in
what?
general. Like obviously men like relationships, the black relationships, like they come together for certain reasons to benefit and thrive. I'm not saying that black men are not needed. Like I would never say that. I love black men. That's absolutely not what I'm trying to say.
But your
So
actions are saying different.
they're
That's
not.
what I'm trying to say.
No, they're not saying that differently, but I would definitely want to know that I am able to support myself. Should a black man, the right black man, not come into my life, I should still be able to live the quality of life that I want to live.
But that's the key. That's the key thing. You said that right there. If the wrong black man comes into your life,
No, I said
and
if the right one
ultimately,
does not come into my life.
right, but you're also looking at it from what happens if I choose the wrong black man to come into my life, and then he does something that fucks me over and then leaves me
No,
high and
that's what
dry,
I'm
right?
saying. When you're dating for the right person. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a black man, any man. If I do not meet the person that is my person, then why would I leave myself out there hanging? Like obviously I'm gonna have myself a plan B, a backup plan so that I can live a life how I want to live my life. Should that not happen, everybody is not going to get married. Like that's a fact.
That is a fact, but it's a fact. Like,
That's a
not
fact.
everybody's gonna be married, but it's
Right.
definitely. But the way we have it now, okay, right? Prior to the 1950s, black women were getting married at a rate to 70 to 80%.
Hmm.
Okay. Now in 20, I think the data comes from like 2022 or 2023. It's at 25%, less than 30%, right?
Right.
And what's essentially changed from the 50s to now? Technology, obviously, and the biggest contributor is the fact that women can now make their own money,
Right.
go to school, get an
Right.
education,
Right.
and also not be dependent on a man financially,
Right.
right? Those are the two biggest contributors, in my opinion,
I
which
agree.
has caused this decrease in women getting married, right?
I agree with that.
So when we talk about the 1950s, I bring this all up to say is that we were fine being dependent on a man for so many years. Black women were fine depending on the man, especially through you're talking about very racist times,
Hmm.
very difficult times, more difficult than what we see right now. And we were together. And then now we live in a society where you have the choice to make your own money, right? And the laws have changed to better suit black people in a
Hmm.
positive way, and we're not coming together.
Right. But I don't
Right,
think
we're
that.
not coming together, and we're steadily preaching this notion of independence. Oh, you don't need a man necessarily because you can go out and make your own money. That's the wrong message that we're preaching. We should be preaching, on the other hand, that you do need a man. You do need to add value. Like your money and your education doesn't really matter as much as you think it does.
It's not.
Right? A
Like,
I'm
PhD
a PhD.
doesn't matter as much to men as you truly think it does, because at the end of the day, men marry for family, and we marry women based on the notion of, is this going to be a long-term partner who I can truly build something with?
I never said that though.
So when you look at value, and a lot, I'm not just saying this is you, but
Yeah,
when you tend to look at value from a financial standpoint or educational standpoint, and they say, hey, that's what I'm bringing on the table. I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. I do this. I do that.
no, I
Well,
meant
that's not necessarily attractive to a man who
life
has his own
value.
money as well.
I meant life
Right.
value.
So it's like, what type of value can you add outside of just your
Opening
finance
people up to
and your
new
education?
experiences, helping them grow, having a more open mindset. Like there's more than just financial in education. That like there's more than just that's not the only type of value that there is.
But
And that's,
when I asked you, you automatically led,
I never said I
you know,
didn't say that. That's what I'm saying. You asked me that multiple times. I was like, that's not specifically what I said. That's what you keep going to. I never said that. That's what I was
no,
talking
but
about.
we talked about your feminist mindset and that ideal, that how your father pushed that idea in your head.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. In my opinion, I think that's wrong. I don't think that's
Well,
how I would raise my daughter,
I
right?
love that
Or
my
how anybody should be raising their daughter.
that way. And my mother, to be honest, they're both the same. My mother was a very strong woman too, and that's what my dad loves about
I listen. I've heard all of this before. Like I've heard
her.
this,
That's fine, but
and I'm saying that the more that like we've fallen for the lie that feminism has told white women. Like, essentially, feminism was told white women to get away from their men so they could go start some shit. And then black women hopped on the bandwagon. I was like, oh shit, wait, we don't need men either.
but it's also staying and with the mindset in the 1950s isn't the same way either. Like, yes, things were fine when women solely depended on their men, but does that mean that's the only right way? No.
But look where it's gotten us now. Now, less than 30% of us are getting married.
I'm
So
pretty sure there are other factors that go into that besides just the one thing. I feel like
yeah,
that's
of
like
course,
it's
there's
like
other
it's
factors that go into it.
more
But we're
factors
not we're
than
not looking at how to solve it.
then
Nobody's
we're
talking
not
about how
looking
to
at how to
solve it.
solve it.
Nobody's even
That
bringing
is
up as an
correct.
issue.
That is correct. We're not looking at how to solve it. Like that needs to have more attention to figure out like why that's happening. But I mean, that also will go into looking at like the statistics about like why there are so many more women, in higher education than men. Like why are there so many more women that are outperforming financially men? Like you would need to look into those type of statistics as well and figure out why those numbers are so skewed. Like it's really not that black and white.
Well, I have no problem with women getting their education. You go get your education if you want. I just I've heard so many times of that being the leading point of what they bring to the table. It's I do this and I have this,
Well, for some
right?
women, yeah. But
Like,
I would not tell women to lead with that. Like if a man is saying, "Tell me about yourself," I don't recommend starting with "I work here and I do this and I do that," because those are superficial ways to talk about yourself. Like that's not your whole life. I definitely would say talk about things that are deeper to you. But that's how a lot of people, men and women, present themselves. You base yourself based on what your job is. Not
well,
really
for
money.
men, that's perfectly okay because if you break down this conversation we had, you can truly understand how men are going to be heavily valued on the amount of resources that they could bring. Because if we're just running around, which we're doing now, having a bunch of kids that we can't pay for, then you're going to have a bunch of kids raised up in an environment that's not suitable for them, which we're seeing heavily within the black community,
All right.
right? So if if we keep preaching this notion of equality, oh, men shouldn't you shouldn't ask for what you don't have or something like that, then you're essentially saying it's okay to date broke guys and essentially be in a relationship with broke guys, but
That's not what's it.
the man can't stay broke, right? The man has to have some type of ambition and motivation to go out and make more and be able to provide for his family, because if he can't do that, then he's not going to be able to raise a suitable environment for his wife and for his future children.
I agree. Yeah, I never said stay with broke men. That's not what don't ask for more than you can bring to the table. If that means don't ask for a man that makes six figures when you make $40,000 a year and say I'm only going to date somebody that
But
makes
no,
this.
but that's okay. You
That's
can ask for that as a woman.
is not
You can ask for that as a woman
is
because but your value is not monetary. Your value
not.
is your femininity, right? You're beautiful, your looks, your fertility, what you're bringing outside of just your money. That's what I'm trying to drive home is that a
Mm.
woman who does make 40K can't ask for a man who makes six figures as long as she brings other value to the table.
Her beauty?
Yes, 100% her beauty.
That's so superficial.
That's what men look for. You think, all right, you think a
And so
man who's
that's what you
grinding to
want
the
your daughter
top.
to operate off of. I don't have to try hard in life or work hard in life because I'm beautiful and men are going to give me things.
Not give. Whoa, I never said give you things. Let's roll it back. Roll it back a little bit. All right. Never said give you things. But the first thing, if you didn't know, the first thing men look for in women is their beauty.
And that's fine. I mean, you want to be attracted to your partner. Women also look for attraction in the male as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But if a woman, so men will date a woman who's beautiful and broke.
They will.
Compared to a woman who is successful and ugly, they're not
Agree.
looking at her.
I completely agree with that.
So this is why I said you
That
have
should
to
be the
like,
standard.
and you have. So this is why I said you have to capitalize on your beauty because you're gonna reach your peak beauty at the ages of 20 to 24, and that's the time you really have to capitalize on your beauty when you reach that peak and you reach that peak level of attractiveness. And a lot of other racial groups have known this for a while, and they capitalized on this by locking down a man when they're in college. That's another big difference that we don't make in the Black community too. While a lot of Black women in our community are out there chasing the degree so they can be independent from a man, a lot of other racial groups are in college trying to find their man. So
Passion, what's your take? Because I see you making faces as well. You've also passed your peak of beauty. So what
Just
is
trying to
oh,
tell, I
your
like to
comments?
say, I am gorgeous at this prime tender age of 27. And you are beautiful as well, of course. But I think that you guys both
wait.
bringing home really, really, really good points. But I think that this is one of those topics that has a double-edged sword. That the movement was, like he said, influenced by white women to have more opportunities because of what their men were not doing for them. And I think a part of that in the 1950s, women couldn't utilize credit either, if I'm correct, that they didn't have that opportunity. And I think that the double-edged sword side of that is that with women having those rights to do more with the right partner, it's not the worst idea. I just think it takes you to knowing what your goal and your mission is to work at, especially in this economy. It might not be as hard as those times, but there is some difficulty that two is better than one. And if we're serving a mission to accomplish and achieve something, both of us having power, not necessarily that the woman needs to outdo the man, but be capable. Our job in our femininity is to be given something and multiply it, from reproduction of children to making a house a home. Um, some men give women their money to multiply it much faster than they can. So this concept, I feel, has a benefit that with the right person, yes, this can be very effective. With the wrong person that's just pretty feminine and think that I just gotta look good, can be a very detriment of a problem that sometimes men support and then complain about because you chose wrong. So I think that I get what you're talking about. I'm not going to say I'm a feminist at all because some stuff that they say is just completely off the spectrum of just like, all right, I want a man to be a man. I'm not trying to be a construction worker. Like, I appreciate a man and the jobs that were designed for a man's capabilities. However, I do also appreciate living in my purpose and living in my passion with what I love to do. That back to when you guys were talking about like the pregnancy thing and wanting to work, that I enjoy the fulfillment that I get with my work, that it keeps me moving, it keeps me going to do what I do, along with creating a life, but then walking in that inspiration that if I were to have a daughter, specifically how you guys were touching on, I'm showing her that this is a way to go while also being able to manage your femininity beside a man, that extra strength that our Black women have carried for so long. And the single parent household is almost damaging them from is not normal. You should be able to do something with a partner. You should be able to look at your father as an example of how he supports your mom's vision and your mom supports your dad's vision, and you guys are excelling and thriving with being a two-parent successful household at achieving something. I think that that is important. And it was one more thing y'all said too that I wanted to touch on because it was really, really good. Um, oh, the whole concept with working after having the kid. Um, that's like a surgery. I mean, I don't want to jump right back into work, but I do feel that it is much more important that my work take the back seat so that I develop my child. So my theory is I would like to be structured a certain way that I can commit myself for the first 3 to 5 years primarily to my child, and my work takes the back seat. Now that does not mean I'm just sitting at home bored, but I'm able to do something with my feet up that my attention is more focused at my child than it is chasing a career or money. But the father is such a leadership role that that tone of our household sets a better foundation for the child. So those are kind of some of the things that I were like really wanting to heavy hit on once you guys, finished it. But it's definitely a bunch of factors that play a part on why it can be beneficial for both parties to have it. But I would not say I'm going to encourage a woman to feel like she does not need a man, because the art of interdependence is something that's important to teach a child, rather male or female, that you do need somebody. Companionship is just in our makeup to need.
Right.
So don't teach it that, oh, I need to be, I'm a man, I can go pick and go cherry, all of that. Because at the end of the day, when you're old and gray, you guys fill up the nursing homes more than we do. And the exchange is that women suffer lots of health issues with feeling that we don't need men. And in the Black community, that's a major problem on why we're not as successful as other races.
Right. Right. But I think a lot of other races haven't, especially like figuring out why women have gotten to the point of where they have to be independent, like things like the crack epidemic, like having to stand up and take that position in control because the men not standing up. It's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna, do this because I want to. It was a necessity at the time.
And that's where what you were saying, like the mind frame change, that certain things did have to adjust. Ideally for, women, we have to roll up our sleeves and get out there, yes, because of certain things that happen to our race. But that also was not an excuse that for some of the men that just solely rely on a woman, and because you saw your mama do it, baby, look, your mama didn't want to do that. She had to do that because your daddy
He did not want
couldn't do it or didn't do it. So ideally, I think we need, especially with what you do as a therapist, we need to focus on the psychological part of that to understand, than the physical attribute that, okay, a man is doing this, a woman is doing that. Psychologically, these are things that took place that we've normalized, but we normalize them to an extent that our race is suffering.
Right.
So we need to get back to the foundation of it.
Breathe air.
All right, hold on, I'm gonna have to cut you guys off. That was a lot y'all were getting into.
Yes,
All right.
sorry.
It's a happy topic.
Sorry, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot. Damn. I lost my train of thought almost like 3 times just listening to that. But yes, there's a mutual value exchange that we're kind of missing now, and that we kind of need to get back to. And my whole point I want to make is that we need to stop. We need to change the narrative of what our women in our community should be leading with. And then we also need to fix the narrative of what the men in our community should be leading with, right? Going back to the whole point of the video, where we saw this guy, not in my opinion, not setting the bar as high as if he should for other black male professionals. So we kind of need to. So there's accountability on both ends, where the men need to set the bar extra high for themselves,
Mhm.
and then also the women kind of need to choose the right guy. That's why I'm going to put the accountability on you guys. You guys really need to take the
Totally
time to
agree.
vet and choose the right guy
Mhm.
that you're going to be with,
Yep.
and just maybe adjust your expectations and preferences a little bit.
I hope
And with that,
for all of that. Yes.
yeah, with that, I think we can all come together. But do you ladies have any questions for me regarding dating, relationships, something you want to ask me about?
I
We
do.
got a lot of we got a lot of we got a lot of guys in the chat who are, who are on your side, ladies, but you guys are listening to the chat. Listen to the message behind the message, okay? That's what I want to say. But yeah, do you guys have any questions for me about the show, relationships, dating, anything like that?
I do. I have a question. What was your age again?
I am 29.
29. Okay.
Yes.
Um, when do you feel like you're at your peak of being ready to be a husband, a father, and to pursue all of that as a podcast producer with that type of content?
Okay. So I say this a lot. Men typically don't enter their financial stride until they reach the later years of their life, beginning at around 35.
Mm,
And with that, the financial stride is one point. So that's when men will basically make the most money they ever will throughout or their lifetime, right?
mhm,
And then with that, there's other things that you have to work on, which is becoming a protector, right? Building up your confidence, building up your skill set, your knowledge, and just understanding the world and just having experience. And
mhm,
then with that, I would say another one is professing. So being able to communicate effectively with the women that you're dealing with and being able to be that rock for her when she is going through an emotional time or a hard time like pregnancy, giving birth, or just a hard time at work, right? So once you are the protector, sorry, professor, and you're the provider, you're able to have an abundance of resources that can help put a family in a suitable environment for raising children. Then that's when I believe you're ready to take on marriage.
mhm.
Now, if that happens to you before 35, great. But for most men, I would say it's going to happen post 35 and well into the 40s or 50s.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Natasha? Would you agree with that?
I I do agree with that to some degree. It just makes me think of some other things that you were saying. If men are peaking at 35 and women are peaking at 20 to 24, you
Yep.
know. So
Yeah, but that's
how is
biology.
how is a woman supposed to find the man in college, as you mentioned, things like that, if they are not yet like that, that is not going to pan
Well, what is holding you back from finding a man in college? I don't get it. I don't
out.
see.
Well, if they're
You can
not
still find a man in college.
right, but if they're not at their ready to be the provider, professor, and what's the other one you said?
A provider, a
That's-
protector,
Yeah, until they are
provider, and professor.
5, it doesn't sound like they are yet ready when they're in college, though, to provide all those
No, why? No, a college girl and a college guy are definitely not on the same value level.
things.
Definitely not.
So why? So how would so how would you find your mate if they're not ready to be those things? If that's what it takes for a man to be ready to get married.
Well, that goes back to my whole point: is college truly necessary for most women to find the man that they want? It's not.
Yeah, no. I don't think that's
It's
why
pretty much it's pretty much optional at this point, but it's definitely not a necessity.
yeah,
And how you would find that man is you would have to go through the vetting process and figuring out where those men are and how
right,
you can put yourself in those situations.
correct. But that's usually when you're 20. I usually am not directing 20-year-olds to start being focused on finding their husband if they're in college. Like you should be focusing on college.
Why? If her goal is to be married with kids one day,
Correct.
why shouldn't her goal be focused on finding the right man?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be all at the one time. Like all these things don't have to happen simultaneously.
All right, so if you think about it, I said the age range of when a woman's in her peak is
20.
20 to 24, right?
Mhm.
Right, I would say, right, even you could even put it up to 25, but 25 is really reaching. Now, let's say you enter college at 18, you spend four years, there's 18, 19, 20, 21. You get out around your 21. You still have a good 3 years to find the guy
You get out around
to
20.
to be intentional with your dating and find the guy who would take care of you.
All right, that's when you get out after.
Right, but you could still do it during college as well. Like you still have time is what I'm trying to say. If you're intentional about it and the mindset is I want to be married one day. This
Right,
is the difference between other races. Their mindset is already thinking I want to be married already. I want to be married by this time in my life.
right.
They're dating with intention at different ages than black women in our community.
Right, but there's not like one specific age. Like I would not be
There's a
pressuring
range,
my
20 to
college
24.
daughter to be focusing on finding a husband in college.
Well, that's the problem, and that's why other groups are succeeding in marriages and black women just aren't
I don't think that's
because they're focused. They understand that their degree has value, but also the focus in life and their mindset is, well, I want to get married and then I want to have kids.
yeah. I agree with that, but I don't think that that's the main reason that black women are not successful in marriage because they're not in college with a marriage mindset.
So what would you tell a young woman if she wanted to be married?
Hmm.
If she wanted to be married by age 30, what advice would you tell her?
If she wants to be married, well, if you want to be married by age 30, you can certainly go to college and focus on college. I gives you 8 years to date intentionally.
No, if she okay, let's say you have this woman, she wants to be married by age 30.
Hmm.
What steps would you tell her to go about doing that correctly?
Well, I mean, if she wants to go to college, that's fine. Everybody doesn't want to go to college. If that was her path that she wanted to go, I would certainly say go to college, finish that. You
I'm
know,
a PhD.
Okay.
I
And
was.
then what?
I thought I heard somebody talking. Tell her to focus on that, finish that, and then again, like I said, when she gets out of college, then she can start dating intentionally to find a partner that she can then build with and find somebody that will be a good husband. But if the goal is at 30, why are you focusing on that when you're 20? Like you still have plenty time. It doesn't have to be all crammed into like 3 years.
But if you know her peak attractiveness is from 20 to
That's
24,
your
and
opinion.
that's not my opinion. Hold on. That's no, hold on. That's not my opinion. That's a fact.
that's
They've done
your
research on
that's
this. A woman's peak
your
attraction is from 20 to 24.
I'm not operating under that the peak years are 20 to 24. That's your focus. That's not mine.
No, that's not my focus. Those are the numbers that men find most women attractive.
That's
So this is
fine.
what
There
I'm
are
saying,
plenty
that we're
women
not
after
we're not telling
24.
them the right advice. What I'm saying, we're not telling them the right advice. Like if you know your peak attractiveness is going to be 20 to 24, Why would you want to wait until you're in your later parts of your life and you're getting older, you're heading towards geriatric pregnancy? Why would you want to wait until that time to really be intentionally dating? When you have a child, when
Still
you have a child,
attractive
you're
after
not
20.
going to be the one who pays the most of the bills. You're not even going to be. You don't even want to pay most of the bills. At most, you want to pay around 20%. So why are we telling these women to wait until the later parts of your life to find this guy when you're just getting older and older and older
I'm not telling anybody
instead of
to wait, but it's
capitalizing
also
on your youth?
not saying wait, but it's also not like you need to. This needs to be like drop everything and buckle down, women. It's also not that either. Like it's you're making it very black and white. I feel like it's also not very black or white. But again, this whole thing is moving off of the 20 to 24 peak years that is
Yeah, because that's the truth. That's not something I'm making up. That's literally the truth. That's when most men find most. I mean, if you look at the top guys who are in the limelight right now, they don't date women their own age. And guys know that because if you're truly trying to be serious and marry a woman and you reach your peak success when you're 35, there's no unless the woman is outstanding, there's no real reason why you would go out searching for a woman who's in your same age range when you could find women who are much younger than you and have better chances at starting a family and giving you what you want at the end of the day.
mhm.
So it's not just like I'm saying this to be an asshole. I'm literally saying this from a biological standpoint. Like men who reach their financial stride and are on that path know that if you if you want to delay having a family, you would go for a younger woman because you can reproduce at any age. Where the woman has a time clock. So you have a 35-year-old man and a 35-year-old woman, and let's say you want 5 kids. What's the likelihood a woman who's 35 is going to give you 5 kids? That's something you're going to have to negotiate on and then talk to her about. And if you're successful, you don't have to do that. There's 20-year-old women who are going to come after you.
Yeah, but those are everybody's not. I'm talking about the modern day man and woman, not the millionaire man. That's not a modern day man or woman.
That's not the average guy, of course. Yeah,
Correct.
that's definitely not the average guy. But even your guy, we already
Correct.
black man making 6 figures, we already deemed him not average. So
Correct.
I
But I mean,
mean,
I also
your average man is 5'8" and he makes
Mhm.
$45,000 a year. All right. Does that sound attractive to anyone here?
If they are a good person, I would definitely encourage you to date them. Yes, because money can come and go.
They
You
taller
can
than
say
me.
that. You can say whatever you want, but that
That's
money
cap.
comes
That's
and
cap.
goes.
A good. So
It's not.
you're telling me that okay, what if he was okay making $45,000 a year? He didn't want to make any more. You'd be
But
okay with
that's
that
but
$45,000.
that's different. That's a mindset thing. Him
Oh,
making
he has to have the mindset.
$45,000
He has to be
being
ambitious.
content versus somebody that's making $45,000 now because that's what they can do, but they also want to make more or they're going through training so they can be a better provider. Those are different things.
But that's
Those
what
are,
I'm saying.
those are
Like at
different.
the end of the day, most women don't want average men,
They don't. I
even though even though this is the whole flip that you may not like. You may call me an asshole for this, even though you reached past your peak. You're well into your 30s now. Now the average men are no longer good for you. Wow, what? That's a huge slap in the face.
But that's why a lot of
That's a
women
huge slap
are
in the face to
single.
most average men.
I agree. That's why a lot of women are single because they are passing over the average man because they want them to be 6 feet, driving a Mercedes, and they're making this much money, and they're passing over really great people. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Exactly.
I'm not arguing with you against that at all. That's why a lot of women are single because they have their certain type and they are not willing to be open or flexible to anything outside that type.
That's why I say we gotta adjust your standards and your preferences a little bit, tweak them. You know.
They certainly
But
do.
Natasha, do you have any questions for me?
Um,
Anything you want to talk about?
I do not have. Why
Come on,
you?
bring up something. Bring up one last topic. Come on, think of something.
It's
I
very
mean, what,
interesting.
I would just say, what are your? I feel like you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are your with the whole 50-50 argument going around? What are your thoughts on the 50-50 argument?
Oh, great
Yeah.
question. And for all the guys listening right now, who don't know, I'm going to speak in the camera for this one. You guys can see. All right. There is no such thing as a man going 50-50 with his woman. All right. No such thing. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Oh, it's the 100. I put in 100. You put in 100. No, bro. You are always going to take on the brunt of the bills. Why? For the simple reason that women need to see you as a provider. You need to be able to have an abundance of resources so you can support a sustainable environment for your wife and for your children in case she goes through something traumatic, for example, as pregnancy, right? Say the pregnancy goes bad and she's out of work. No woman wants to have to downgrade her lifestyle to a point where your income is just not enough. So you need to be able to supply at least 80% of the bills and the lifestyle of the household currently before you thinking about starting a family or getting serious with it. You can't provide at least 80%, don't think about it. Because if something ever happens to your woman or you guys get triplets and you have multiple kids that you now have to take care of, guaranteed it's not going to be 50-50. All right. That's all a lie that society has told men and that we're starting to believe, especially when it comes to dating. No woman wants to pay for the first date, even though they make their own money. It's all a lie. All right. They've sold us all a lie. Don't fall for it. Don't believe it. I believed it at one point in my life. I'm telling you guys now, don't fall.
Like
Right.
that is something that I 100% agree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
50-50 is the lie, man. It's just not true.
There's a lot of things that men do bring to that they're doing. You can't even put a value on it. You cannot put
Yeah.
a value on me having a baby.
I know you can. I mean, bringing a baby is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But let me ask you one question to wrap this up. Outside of your education and your money, what type of value do you add to your man?
I add that I'm like a very passionate person. I'm very loyal. I always am going to push not even just my man, but anybody around me to be their best self. I'm always going to push for learning yourself better, personal development. You know, you can always be a better person in so many areas of your life, and really just making somebody feel that there's no limits to what they can do. Because I truly believe that too. So I feel like if you instill that and you really are making your man feel like there's no limit to what they can do, they're going to want to do that and then more because everybody appreciates having somebody that's supportive in their
Perfect. All right. Passion, answer that question for me real quick.
So the value that I feel like I bring was a lot like what Natasha said. Being able to help you maximize your environment to be the best you. I think that if there was a lot of that going on with self-assessing, people would be more aligned with the people that match their energy. And if you weren't, you'd move around to get in a space where you're inspired to be a better version of yourself. But I think that would be my key indicator because that's something that I walk in for myself. I'm always betting on myself. So, with being able to motivate and encourage your partner to seek that version of themselves, that one indicator in itself just opens so many other opportunities to explore and do a relationship at the best of its abilities, and all of the other stuff naturally comes. So, loyalty is major. That having a friendship built off of that makes it a lot more stronger to have a chance at being a better relationship. So my loyalty that I have and just the betterment of you and who you want to be, you get with just being a great partner. My dog is really having a time. Uh, but yeah, loyalty, encouragement, and empowerment. And there was one more that she said that I thought was a great one. Um,
I think
Fun.
inspiration was a big one that you said.
Yeah, inspiration and fun. I feel like every relationship should have fun. I bring fun to the space that, you know, it feeds our inner child, but also allows for us to not get caught in such seriousness of life that we don't enjoy each other either. So,
All right, cool. All right, we got a question from the chat real quick. How do you guys feel about men who play video games a lot?
What is a lot?
what is a lot?
We're gonna say at least 4 hours a day.
So
Every
they
day.
come home from work around 5 or 6, and then they proceed to play 4 hours of video games until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Monday.
Or it could be after dinner and they play into the night.
Yes, I mean, yes. A lot of video games for my preference. I understand that, men use the video games to kind of like de-stress, it's kind of like a way for them to kind of cope with like the stressors of the world. That's fine. As long as you're not neglecting other responsibilities in lieu of that. Like if everything else is taken care of that needs to be taken care of, be my guest. But if I'm having to now like be like, hey, can you do this? Hey, did you do this? Hey, do this? And you're in there playing your video games, no, it's a problem.
Okay. What about you, Passion?
Agreed. As long as you can commit to what we have in place, it's not a problem. I mean, I'd much rather you be doing that than out at the club. Um, just being ghetto. Just being playing the game is not a big thing. And honestly, if it's not neglecting your time spent with me and it's a good balance, better play all day long.
All day long. Feel free to play.
Well, let me just say this. If a guy's constantly playing video games, I would say for 2 hours plus a day, there, there's going to be some things that he's going to lack on at some point.
Right.
There's going to be some things that he's going to be missing. There's just no way that you can commit that much time and then not miss something. Right. So we talk about balance. I would say good balance is max an hour, and that's after you've completed everything that you've done. Right. And also like if he's playing it for more than 2 hours a day and it's not monetized, nah, bro. Like it's just something that's taking up your time where you could be focused on making more money.
Or just spending time with your family. I mean, it's just a lot of time.
Or family time, right? There's so much better uses of your time.
If you spending time, I feel like that's where just balance. If you balancing everything out and it's like you say your way to de-stress. It's no different than like watching your shows and stuff like that. That just have a balance to it. Now, if we talking about you skipping work to play the game all day, um, bills not paid, then we got something to talk about.
You're not sleeping at night because you're up all night playing video games.
Yeah, we got something to talk about.
Yeah, but in moderation, if it's like related to first, I'm not gonna take that away from you.
Yeah,
but it needs to be in moderation.
Yeah.
All right. So we are gonna wrap this up. Thank you to the wonderful ladies who have came on the show. We're gonna give them a chance to shout themselves out. Shout out where you can find them and reach them if you want to contact them. And these women, unfortunately, are all taken, but you never know, guys. Shoot your shot in the DMs. Do whatever you gotta do. But yeah, let's go. Where can people find you?
They can find me on IG at Coaching with Natasha. For all things dating related on there.
All right.
I can be found at Passion the Connect on Instagram, TikTok as well.
Okay. That's it. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming to the show. It was a pleasure having you. It was a great discussion, by the way. I really enjoyed this. Guys, if first time here, if you're watching this pre-recorded, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to reaching 1,000 subscribers, so I can keep giving you guys more content. And we're going live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 p.m. So stay tuned for more episodes. Stay tuned for more drops, more content, more clips, more shorts. And we are out of here, guys. Thank you for the stream. Have a good night. We're gone.